Have you ever felt drained even after a full night's sleep, like life is quietly stealing your energy? This video reveals the art of resting the right way, a recharge more powerful than sleep. Why rest feels like laziness. Strange truth, many people, especially after 50, secretly feel guilty when they rest. It's like sitting down to enjoy a cup of tea but hearing a little voice whisper, "Shouldn't you be doing something?" This guilt doesn't come from nowhere, it's cultural conditioning. We were raised on the myth that productivity means constant motion, constant doing. But here's the irony: your brain, the very organ that powers all your doing, is not designed for non-stop hustle. Neuroscientists have found that when your brain gets downtime, it activates something called the default mode network. Sounds fancy, right? But basically, it's your brain's creative repair shop. It reorganizes memories, solves hidden problems, and even strengthens your sense of identity. Imagine you're trying to untangle a necklace. If you keep pulling and tugging, the knot just gets worse. But leave it alone for a while, come back later, and suddenly, the threads slip apart effortlessly. That's what your brain does when you rest. It's untangling the mental knots. The kicker: without real rest, your productivity is fake productivity. You may look busy, but you're like a hamster sprinting on a wheel, sweating hard, but going nowhere. Studies even show that people who allow themselves intentional downtime often accomplish more with less effort. So the next time you feel guilty about resting, remind yourself, your brain is literally doing essential background work. You're not being lazy, you're upgrading. And here's the twist most people miss: sometimes, the most productive thing you can do is nothing at all. The science of recovery: here's something wild. Your brain weighs about 3 pounds, but it burns nearly 20% of your body's energy, even when you're resting. That means every thought, every memory, every emotion is like a tiny workout session for your neurons. Now imagine running a marathon without stopping to drink water. That's what happens when you push your brain non-stop. It overheats. It glitches. And then you wonder why you forget simple words like keys or password. Science has a name for this: cognitive fatigue. And it's sneaky, because it doesn't just show up as tiredness. It shows up as irritability, indecision, and that foggy feeling where even simple tasks feel impossible. But here's the good news: recovery is not just about sleep. Short, intentional breaks during the day can actually reset your brain chemistry. Neuroscientists talk about ultradian rhythms, natural cycles of about 90 minutes. After each cycle, your body needs a mini reset. That could be as simple as a 10-minute walk, closing your eyes for a few breaths, or even staring out the window without a goal. What happens next is incredible. Your dopamine levels reset, your focus sharpens, and your creativity spikes. Think of it like sharpening a knife. You wouldn't keep cutting with a dull blade and call that hard work. Yet so many of us use our brains like dull knives, proud of the grind while silently destroying our edge. So here's the paradox. If you want a sharper mind, you have to stop grinding it down. The smartest people don't push harder, they recover smarter. Why slowing down feels wrong, but saves you? Here's the strange thing. When your brain starts to slow down, your first instinct is to fight it. You drink more coffee. You scroll your phone. You tell yourself, I just need to push through. But what you're really doing is ignoring your brain's alarm system, that heavy fog. It's not laziness, it's your nervous system begging you to pause. Your body is brilliant at sending signals, but we've been trained to silence them. Society rewards hustle, not rest. You feel guilty for taking a break, as if slowing down is the same as giving up. But in reality, rest is not retreat, it's strategy. Think about elite athletes. They don't train at maximum intensity every single day. They build in recovery time, because they know growth happens during rest. Your brain works the same way. Neural connections strengthen while you sleep, insights form when you step away, and breakthroughs often arrive in the quiet moments when you're not forcing them. So why does slowing down feel so wrong? Because we've been wired to equate stillness with weakness. But the truth is, slowing down is the fastest way forward. It's like pulling an arrow back before it launches. Without that tension, that pause, there is no flight. So the next time your brain feels stuck, instead of forcing it harder, ask, what if the smartest move isn't more effort, but more space? The hidden enemy, overhelping your brain. Here's a paradox most people don't realize. The more brain boosters you chase, the worse your memory and clarity can get. Seniors are often told to pile on puzzles, supplements, apps, and endless mental workouts. But the brain doesn't thrive on non-stop stimulation, it thrives on balance. When you flood your mind with too many hacks, you overwhelm your natural rhythm. It's like overwatering a plant. What was supposed to help starts drowning it. Instead of growing sharper, your brain begins to resist. It forgets more, not less. It slows down, not because it's failing, but because it's overloaded. Science shows that memory isn't built in the doing, it's built in the spacing. Rest between learning. Silence between conversations. Stillness between efforts. That's when the brain consolidates information, weaving it into long-term memory. The hidden enemy isn't aging, it's overhelping. The belief that if you just add one more exercise, one more supplement, one more hour of study, you'll fix your mind. But your brain doesn't need rescuing, it needs room to breathe. So ask yourself, am I actually helping my brain, or smothering it with too much help? The silent memory killer, routine without renewal. Do you know what quietly eats away at memory more than age? Routine. Doing the same things, at the same times, in the same ways, every single day. On the surface, it feels safe and comfortable. But to the brain, it's a silent trap. Neuroscience shows that memory thrives on novelty. Every time you try something new, even something small, like taking a different route to the store, cooking a new recipe, or learning a new word, you force the brain to wake up. It's like hitting the refresh button, but when life becomes predictable, the brain goes into autopilot. It stops noticing details, stops forming new connections, and gradually loses its sharpness. Memory doesn't die suddenly. It slowly fades under the weight of sameness. Here's the good news. You don't need to climb mountains or reinvent your life. Tiny injections of change are enough. A new book, a different friend to call, a hobby you've always delayed. Each novelty plants a seed of renewal inside your mind. So the real question is, are you letting routine protect you, or is it quietly stealing your memory? The hidden enemy, overprotecting the brain. Most people think protecting the brain means avoiding stress, avoiding effort, and keeping life as easy as possible. But here's the paradox. Too much protection actually makes the brain weaker. When you never challenge your mind, it begins to shrink from lack of use. Studies show that seniors who never push their brains, through problem solving, learning, or adapting, experience faster memory decline than those who regularly stretch their mental limits. Think of it like muscles. If you never lift anything heavy, your arms grow weaker. The brain works the same way. Shielding it from all effort doesn't protect it, it starves it. That's why seniors who avoid technology, who refuse to learn new tools, or who say, "I'm too old for this," end up accelerating their own decline without realizing it. The brain needs stress, but the right kind of stress: puzzles, learning, conversations that challenge you, new environments that wake up your senses. The truth? A brain wrapped in comfort slowly forgets how to fight. But a brain given challenges remembers how to grow. So, are you protecting your brain, or unknowingly weakening it? The silent drift. When routine eats memory, routine feels safe. Waking up, eating the same breakfast, sitting in the same chair, watching the same shows, it creates comfort. But hidden inside this comfort is danger. Monotony starves the brain thrives on novelty. New experiences spark new connections, forcing memory circuits to stay active. But when every day looks the same, the brain stops paying attention. It drifts into autopilot. And once that drift begins, memory starts to slip, because there's nothing new worth remembering. Seniors often mistake this for just aging. In truth, it's not always age, it's understimulation. Without new challenges, new sights, new conversations, the brain begins shutting down little by little. Even small shifts help. Take a different walking route, taste a food you've never tried, talk to someone outside your usual circle. Every new spark is like oxygen for memory. Here's the harsh truth. Routine can feel like safety, but sometimes it's memory's slowest poison. So ask yourself, are you truly living each day, or just repeating yesterday? The hidden thief. When stress masks as forgetfulness, everyone knows stress isn't healthy, but most don't realize how directly it attacks memory. For seniors, stress hormones like cortisol linger longer in the body. And when they do, they interfere with the hippocampus, the very part of the brain that stores and retrieves memories. The result? A conversation forgotten mid-sentence. A name that was just on the tip of your tongue. A bill left unpaid, even though you looked at it this morning. It feels like memory loss, but often, it's stress in disguise. Doctors sometimes label it cognitive decline, when in reality, the brain is just drowning in chemical overload. Long-term stress even shrinks brain tissue, making recall harder over time. The danger is not just in forgetting, it's in not realizing stress is the hidden thief. That's why mindfulness, deep breathing, light exercise, or even laughter are not luxuries. They're medicine. They lower cortisol, giving memory space to breathe again. So if you keep losing track of things, don't only blame age. Ask yourself, is stress silently rewriting your brain? The silent saboteur, sleep and senior memory loss. Most people think forgetting is just part of aging. But often, the real culprit is sleep deprivation, and seniors are hit hardest. When you sleep, the brain isn't resting, it's busy cleaning out toxins, repairing cells, and moving short-term memories into long-term storage. Miss that process, and the brain literally skips filing memories away. That's why after a poor night's sleep, seniors may wake up feeling foggy, confused, or unable to recall even simple things. The problem grows with age because seniors often sleep less deeply. Medications, chronic pain, or even late-night TV can disrupt the deep, restorative stages of sleep that memory depends on. Over time, poor sleep doesn't just cause forgetfulness, it increases the risk of dementia. The fix isn't always more hours, but better quality. Consistent bedtimes, cooler rooms, less caffeine, and evening relaxation routines all help the brain slip into deeper cycles. So the next time you, or a loved one, forget something, don't just blame aging. Ask, did the brain get the deep sleep it needed to protect the memory? The hidden role of hydration in senior memory decline. Most seniors don't realize that something as simple as dehydration can mimic memory loss, or even make dementia symptoms worse. The brain is nearly 75% water. Every thought, every memory, every connection depends on proper hydration. But with age, the body loses its ability to signal thirst strongly. By the time many seniors feel thirsty, they're already dehydrated. Even mild dehydration can cause brain fog, confusion, irritability, and forgetfulness. Families often mistake these signs for Alzheimer's or dementia, when the real culprit is a lack of fluids. To make matters worse, many seniors drink less on purpose, to avoid frequent trips to the bathroom. Combine that with medications like diuretics, and the risk of memory-related dehydration skyrockets. The solution? Small, steady sips throughout the day, rather than large amounts at once. Water-rich foods like fruits, soups, and herbal teas can also keep the brain hydrated without overwhelming the bladder. It sounds simple, but for seniors, drinking enough water isn't just about health, it's about preserving memory itself. The silent impact of loneliness on the aging brain. One of the most overlooked causes of memory decline in seniors isn't physical, it's emotional. Loneliness acts like a slow toxin on the brain, eroding memory, mood, and even physical health. Studies show that chronic loneliness can shrink the hippocampus, the very part of the brain responsible for memory. Seniors who feel isolated are far more likely to develop dementia-like symptoms, even if their brains are otherwise healthy. The problem is, loneliness doesn't always look like what you expect. A senior may live with family, yet feel emotionally invisible. They may sit in a room full of people, but feel completely unseen. This hidden isolation quietly eats away at cognitive strength. The brain thrives on connection. Simple conversations, laughter, and shared experiences stimulate neural pathways, keeping memory alive. Without it, those pathways begin to weaken. The cure isn't just being around people, it's meaningful interaction. Phone calls, community groups, or even a short daily chat can make the difference between fading memories and a sharp mind. Loneliness doesn't just break the heart, it breaks the brain too. The false comfort of overrest. Many seniors are told to rest more as they age, but too much rest can backfire, especially for the brain. When the body stops moving, the brain slowly follows. Extended periods of inactivity reduce blood flow to the brain, depriving it of oxygen and nutrients it needs to function. Over time, this can accelerate memory loss, reduce mental clarity, and even trigger mood decline. The brain isn't designed for endless stillness. It thrives on stimulation, movement, and novelty. A senior who spends most of the day lying down or watching TV may feel safe, but beneath the surface, their brain is losing sharpness at an alarming rate. The surprising truth? Even gentle movement, like walking, gardening, or stretching, sparks brain activity. Physical movement pumps life into the nervous system, protecting memory and slowing down cognitive decline. Too much rest may sound harmless, but it's actually one of the quietest dangers to the aging brain. Balance is key. Rest enough to recharge, but move enough to keep the mind alive. The memory drain of multitasking. We often think of multitasking as a skill, but for seniors, it can quietly erode memory. The aging brain is already processing more slowly, and forcing it to juggle tasks increases confusion and stress. When seniors multitask, like cooking while answering the phone or scrolling through TV channels while trying to pay bills, the brain never fully encodes the information. This leads to memory lapses that aren't true dementia, but look like it. The danger is subtle: forgetting where you placed items, missing key details in conversations, or losing track of medications. Over time, the constant mental overload makes the brain less efficient at focusing, storing, and retrieving memories. The fix isn't about avoiding challenges, it's about single tasking. When seniors give full attention to one thing at a time, the brain processes it deeper, leading to stronger recall. In short, multitasking feels productive, but in reality, it drains memory like a slow leak. The myth of use it or lose it. You've probably heard the phrase, use it or lose it. The idea that constantly challenging the brain prevents memory decline. But here's the twist: overloading seniors with puzzles, apps, and endless brain games can actually create mental fatigue, not sharper memory. The senior brain doesn't need non-stop stimulation. It needs the right kind of stimulation. Memory thrives on meaningful engagement, like conversations, storytelling, learning something that sparks curiosity, not just grinding through Sudoku or crossword after crossword. When seniors pressure themselves to train their memory like an athlete, they often feel discouraged when lapses still happen. This stress backfires, reinforcing the very forgetfulness they fear. The truth? It's not about constant activity, it's about balanced activity. Deep rest, calm focus, and emotionally rewarding challenges strengthen memory far more than endless drills. So the myth of use it or lose it is only half true. The brain doesn't need to be forced, it needs to be nourished. The role of silence and stillness in today's world. Silence feels uncomfortable, even suspicious. But for the senior brain, silence is not emptiness, it's medicine. Studies show that just 2 minutes of silence can lower stress hormones, balance the nervous system, and create the mental space where memory consolidation happens. Yet many seniors are rarely given this gift. TV noise, constant chatter, and even well-meaning family interruptions rob the brain of its recovery time. Stillness is where the brain files memories away, turning fragments into stories, short-term notes into long-term wisdom. Without it, memories float loosely, harder to retrieve when needed. Silence also invites self-reflection, helping seniors connect today's experiences with the rich archives of their past. This is why moments of calm often bring back vivid, forgotten memories, far more effectively than any app or supplement. The senior brain doesn't just need stimulation, it craves balance. And sometimes, the most powerful exercise isn't doing more. It's doing nothing. The bizarre shift in emotional filtering. One of the strangest discoveries in neuroscience is how the senior brain begins to filter emotions differently. While younger people's brains tend to prioritize negative information, a built-in survival mechanism, older brains often lean toward positive bias. This means that seniors may remember uplifting events more clearly than painful ones, a reversal of the youthful pattern. Far from being forgetfulness, this is an adaptive shift. The brain is subtly protecting itself from emotional overload by focusing on what nurtures resilience. But here's the paradox. If left unchecked, this filtering can cause important warnings, like health issues, financial red flags, or unsafe environments, to be downplayed or dismissed. The brain's natural shield against negativity can accidentally create blind spots. The key is awareness. Families and seniors alike must recognize this filter. It's not denial, it's biology. And when understood, it can be guided, allowing seniors to hold on to joy while still noticing the practical concerns that keep them safe. The senior brain doesn't just change how we think, it changes what we choose to see. Why routine feels safer than risk. As the brain ages, it begins to prioritize stability over novelty. For a younger brain, new experiences are linked with growth, exploration, and survival advantages. But for the senior brain, novelty can feel more like a threat than an opportunity. This happens because the brain's reward circuits, especially dopamine pathways, become less sensitive with age. The thrill of something new doesn't hit as hard. Meanwhile, the brain's fear centers become more reactive to uncertainty. That's why so many seniors develop a deep preference for routine, predictability, and familiar environments. It's not stubbornness or resistance to change, it's a protective adaptation. The brain is trying to conserve energy and minimize perceived risks, but here lies the hidden danger. When routine becomes too rigid, it can slowly shrink a senior's world. Opportunities for growth, connection, and even joy get missed. The solution isn't to force dramatic change, but to introduce small, safe novelties, a new walking route, a different hobby, or a fresh flavor at mealtime. These gentle sparks keep the brain flexible without overwhelming it. In aging, the brain whispers, safety first. But sometimes, safety needs a sprinkle of new life to keep the spirit awake. Why stress hits harder with age in youth? The brain is equipped with a resilient stress response system. Cortisol spikes, then the body recovers quickly. But as the brain ages, that reset button doesn't work as efficiently. Older adults often experience prolonged cortisol levels after stress, meaning the body and brain stay in fight or flight mode longer than they should. This prolonged stress not only wears down physical health but also damages memory circuits, particularly the hippocampus. That's why seniors under constant stress may notice memory lapses, confusion, or difficulty focusing, not just emotional fatigue. The brain is literally struggling to turn off the alarm. Compounding this, the brain's emotional regulation circuits, especially in the prefrontal cortex, shrink with age, making it harder to reframe stressful events. What once felt manageable can now feel overwhelming. But here's the hopeful twist: seniors also develop a stronger ability for perspective and wisdom. While the stress system weakens, the wisdom circuits, built on decades of experience, can offer balance. The key is cultivating habits like mindful breathing, slow routines, and gentle social support. These don't just calm the mind, they retrain the aging brain to release stress before it burns memory away. In the senior years, stress is heavier, but so is wisdom. And wisdom, if practiced, can still steady the storm. The strange sleep-memory loop in seniors. Sleep and memory are deeply connected, but aging changes the rules of the game. In youth, the brain spends more time in deep slow-wave sleep, the stage that consolidates new memories. During this phase, the brain acts like a librarian, carefully sorting and storing the day's experiences into long-term memory. But as people age, deep sleep shrinks. Seniors spend less time in restorative stages and more time in lighter, fragmented sleep. The result? Memory consolidation weakens, leaving yesterday's lessons half-filed or even lost. Even stranger, poor memory can itself disrupt sleep. The brain struggles to let go of the day, replaying unresolved details and worries, creating a feedback loop. Less sleep, weaker memory, more nighttime restlessness. This is why seniors often say, "I feel tired all day but can't sleep at night." It's not just insomnia, it's the brain fighting to process life with reduced sleep machinery, yet small adjustments, like consistent bedtime routines, morning sunlight, and avoiding late caffeine, can restore some balance. Gentle naps, timed well, can also refresh memory without robbing deep night sleep. The brain may age, but with mindful care, sleep can still become a powerful ally for memory. The forgotten role of rhythm in senior memory. Memory doesn't just depend on what you learn, it depends on the rhythm of your brain and body. Our brains are wired to cycles. Circadian rhythms regulate sleep, alertness, and even when we learn best. In youth, these rhythms are strong and synchronized, helping memory lock in naturally, but with aging, circadian rhythms weaken. Seniors often experience fragmented sleep, irregular mealtimes, and inconsistent exposure to daylight. The brain's inner clock drifts out of tune, and memory storage begins to falter. Research shows that when older adults follow consistent daily rhythms, waking, eating, exercising, and sleeping at predictable times, memory recall improves. Their brains know when to encode and when to rest. Even music rhythms can help. Singing, clapping, or walking to a beat activates brain circuits tied to timing and memory. It's why seniors with memory decline often light up when they hear familiar songs. The rhythm bypasses damaged pathways and reawakens stored memories. In other words, memory isn't just mental, it's musical, biological, and cyclical. By restoring rhythm to life, seniors can restore rhythm to memory. The hidden blueprint of senior memory. Memory in later life is not just about brain cells, it's about rhythm, story, emotion, nutrition, and connection. We've uncovered that memory isn't lost at random. It's influenced by shifts in brain chemistry that change how memories are stored, nutrition traps that weaken recall instead of strengthening it, rhythms and sleep cycles that either synchronize the mind or scatter it, emotional scars and unprocessed experiences that silently reshape what the brain keeps or lets go, and most importantly, the power of human connection, music, and storytelling to awaken memories thought forgotten. The truth is, memory doesn't vanish, it hides. Sometimes in the rhythm of a song, sometimes in the routine of daily life, sometimes in the wisdom carried by scars. For seniors, the key is not to chase youth, but to decode the new language of the aging brain. By honoring rhythm, nourishing the body, embracing social bonds, and treating scars as maps rather than endings, memory can still be nurtured. Your story isn't over because your memory shifts. In fact, this shift may reveal a new kind of memory, deeper, emotional, rhythmic, and alive. the question that remains is, will you see memory loss as the end, or as the beginning of learning a new way to remember? If this video opened your eyes to the hidden shifts in the aging brain and the truth about senior memory health, don't forget to subscribe for more science-backed insights on senior health, memory care, and brain wellness. Like this video if you believe memory is more than just recall. It's rhythm, story, and connection. Comment below. What's one memory you cherish most, and how do you keep it alive? Your story might inspire someone else. Stay with us as we explore more about the aging brain, memory breakthroughs, and senior wellness strategies that could transform how you or your loved ones age with strength, dignity, and clarity. Remember, your memory isn't gone, it's just waiting to be reawakened.